I went to UC Berkeley and I became a political science major with the intention about halfway through school of saying, I'm going to go to law school. That's kind of where I want to land. So I went to work for a law firm and I worked, 30 hours a week while I was struggling to keep up with my studies at school. It wasn't really what I thought it might be. And then what happened was I wasn't really sure where I was going to go. And then I got sick. I got diagnosed with cancer. So everything kind of turned on its head at that point, and life became a whole new journey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to my show. My name is Tiffany Alexander, and this is Unveiling Journeys. I have a great guest for you today. Can I just start by telling you a smidge about me? I love people. I love hanging out with people. I love getting introduced to new people. And I always like to say, hey, do you know anybody that you think I should know after we've met? And by the way, there's probably a ton of people I think you need to know. And also, by the way, I love you. Can I know more people just like you? Like your friend circle. I want to share everything with everyone. And of course that's why the podcast was born, because I know a lot of really such just neat people, and I could not contain their stories and their businesses and what it is that they're doing. They're just changing lives with this dramatic ripple effect in this B2B space or B2C space. And anyway, that's why I'm here. But onward, I have an amazing guest for you today. Terry has a phenomenal story, and I can't wait to dive into it. So, everybody, welcome Terry. Thank you so much for coming and being on the show. Tell everybody who you are and what you're up to right now.
Hi, Tiffany. Thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm Terry Healey. And yeah, I am really fired up right now. I've been working a lot on this whole topic around resilience and how to build confidence and how to gain greater purpose. And so, yeah, I just released a book recently, and I've kind of just been on a speaking tour talking about it and trying to help people. That's really what my current journey is all about. I spent my whole career kind of on the marketing and sales side in high tech. And I'm doing a little bit of consulting, but this is really where my focus is today.
Man, if you summarize the word resilience, I feel like you're in the right spot at the right time. 'Cause people don't even know what it's like to just show up and show up and show up. And then at some point, some results are going to happen or something else is going to happen.
That's right.
And you're doing great work out here for all of that. And that's why I wanted to tell people about the work that you're doing. Of course, we got introduced by a mutual friend that was like, "Have you met Terry?" I'm like, "I don't know Terry. I need to know Terry." I want to do this. I want to crack into your story. Let's start like from the beginning. Where are you from? And why did you think you were going to be doing this work as a kid? And like, what was work and school? And then, more chunks of your story. I know I asked a very loaded question, but I'm gonna let you roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what's so great about life. I don't think I could have ever predicted where I would land at really any point in my life. Right. And so I'm big on change. And I think that's actually a real big positive for people. But I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, lived there for about 10 years. And then I've been a Californian since and live in the Bay Area in Santa Cruz. Grew up with three older brothers, had a great family, had parents that were very supportive of me and my brothers. They were people of faith. And those became central ingredients to really enabling me to kind of find my way, I would say, as adversity struck in my own life. Because, where did I want to end up? I always thought I'd be like my dad, working in a business environment. And I kind of ended up doing that to some degree, but I'm so grateful for the adversity I had in my own life because I think out of adversity, there's always opportunity and it creates new pathways and new opportunities. So
Yeah.
that's where I
Yeah.
am today.
Well, let's dive in a smidge more. Like, what was your first like work experience leaving? And I mean, did you have this vision of like, well, I'm gonna go to school for XYZ, and you
Yeah.
started off there?
Yeah. So I went to UC Berkeley and I became a political science major with the intention about halfway through school of saying, I'm going to go to law school. That's kind of where I want to land. So I went to work for a law firm and I worked, 30 hours a week while I was struggling to keep up with my studies at school. Um, it wasn't really what I thought it might be. And then what happened was I wasn't really sure where I was going to go. And then I got sick. I got diagnosed with cancer. So everything kind of turned on its head at that point, and life became a whole new journey.
That is also now why people are like, resilience, showing up, keeping with it. What was that like? I mean, this obviously pivoted a major fork in the road for your everything. Take us there.
Yeah. So I was a junior at Cal. I like to say I was living life on easy street, right? Everything was great. I was a president of my fraternity, I had a girlfriend. All these things were great. I was doing okay in school. I had goals and aspirations. And then, boom, I got this bump that formed on the right side of my nose that started to push my right nostril out. And long story short, is I got diagnosed with this really, really rare form of cancer called a fibrosarcoma. And they're typically not found in the head and neck. They're typically not found very often anyway, but they're typically in the legs and arms, extremities. So it was hard to diagnose, but I was grateful that I got the right diagnosis, landed at UC San Francisco, where my surgeon was just this incredibly great guy. We still have a relationship to this day, but you know, it was a journey in and of itself because it started off with a diagnosis that was treatable. I looked the same as I always did. I went back to my old life, and then sort of this recurrence happened, which is really when everything changed. So what happened was I had this recurrence and I went back to my doctor and they went into hyper mode. I could tell it was like, oh my God, this is way more serious than I expected. Long story short is I ended up having this procedure that results in the removal of half of my nose, the shelf of my right eye, the muscle and the bone from my right cheek, part of my upper lip, part of my hard palate, six of my teeth, and I woke up attached to my chest because they had to transplant a full thickness skin graft from my chest to fill in this cavity that had been created on my face. And so honestly, Tiffany, what I looked like was none other than the Elephant Man. So I
Oh,
went from, homecoming prince in high school to suddenly the Elephant Man that I felt like, man, I'm going to be ostracized. My life's going to be very different. And so, yeah, it was a process to say the least, of sort of falling down and trying to get back up and ultimately finding my way. But it took many years to get there.
yeah. What did that lead like in your dilemma of your health problems, were you still working? Were you still having to show up and like I mean, your family's there for you? Like how did all that work out?
Yeah, part of my coping strategy was staying busy.
Mm.
And so I met along a lot of people along the way who sort of removed themselves from their day to day and focused on their illness. And to me, that was just like not the path I wanted to take because I felt like I don't want to dwell on what's going on. It's not helping. I need goals. I need objectives. I need to be doing things that are keeping me occupied and making me feel good every day about where I'm going. And so, yeah, I managed to continue with school. I went back to work. And during this whole process, I graduated. I ended up, getting a job in high tech. Grateful for the guy that hired me because I don't think my confidence level was that high. I kind of always felt like, man, this guy gave me a shot. I got to deliver. Right. But yeah, I just kept plugging away, trying to figure out how to get myself back to who I was. And what I learned, Tiffany, through that process is you never get back to who you were. And it's really about where you're going and how you're going to transform yourself.
Mm. Man, that's powerful. I think that could apply to a lot of people in any situation that they're in that they need to shake that off and
Yeah.
just keep going. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Well, I'm so grateful for that position. What did that lead to next?
If we mean the
Your
work.
yeah, your work, like, because 'cause you're obviously
Yeah.
not an IT director right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I started plugging away and I just gave it my all. It was a startup. in high tech, and it was crazy in the fact that we had 30 people when I started. We were growing like a weed, and there were no processes. So the guy that hired me is just like, you need to go figure out how we're going to build a customer service operation. I had no experience. I was a political science major.
Yeah.
So I had to figure it out. And I think that was like the best gift in the world because I just banged away and tried to figure it out and talk to people. Ultimately, we sort of scrambled and found our way, and I learned so much. But what I learned was, hard work and perseverance, and do whatever it takes to take care of this customer. That was number one. So yeah, I found my way, and ultimately moved into marketing, and then spent my career kind of working in both hardware and software, in sort of a marketing executive level, sales leadership type roles. And it was incredibly rewarding. And to this day, I'm grateful for that as well, Tiffany. But where my real purpose is and started to form and become was through this adverse process that I went through, where I started to really learn that as I shared my vulnerabilities with other people, I started to get this feedback from them about their sharing, and I felt like I was getting courage to do more and more, and it it helped me become more empathetic. I got a different life perspective, and I found gratitude is so central to everything. And so as I was working, I needed to pay the bills, right? But I really wanted to pursue this other purpose of, how can I help other people deal with adversity? Because I'm finding my way. And I started to package up my sort of framework for how you deal with adversity. But, that was a process in and of itself. And so that's where I am today.
Oh, man. When did it well, when you decided to really lean in and go down this route, at what point were you like, "I think I'm just gonna do this?" Like, did it branch off immediately into a new company, or, like, what was that process like?
No, so what happened was it goes back to about 2001 when I wrote my first book at face value. And when I wrote that book, I didn't know where it was going to take me. I was still working 60-hour weeks. I'm like, I don't have time to promote this thing. Well, what I found was people started to reach out and say, hey, can you come speak to our group? Can you speak to our company? And I'm like, I can't turn that down. Right. And so as I started to do that, I learned that, hey, if I can inspire people through this, that's way more powerful than what I do for a living every day.
Yeah.
But what I do for a living every day also pays the bills. Yeah, it started that way. It kind of always became something that I was able to fit into my lifestyle. I would take days off. I would do whatever I needed to do to support these opportunities. And then finally, I reached a point where I said, this is what I want to do. And I finally wrote my new book called The Resilience Mindset, which is something that had been brewing in my head for 10 years. And it was based on feedback from people in my audiences who would say, you share your story. I know your story. I read your book, but what you talk about are all these tools and frameworks to help other people deal. And so that you need to write another book. And so I really responded to that. And that's kind of where I ended up. So
That's
that's what I do
incredible.
full time pretty much today.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I know, so you were like, you're making a little bit of a circuit and promoting your book," and I thought, "Oh, this is be great. We could go ahead and tell the world about it." And it's opened up so many incredible doors because the the effect that you have now is like a bigger ripple to really help people through this. And the world is not easy.
No, we all deal with challenges and conflicts and change every single day, right? I mean, um, you know, right now you're in the AI space as well, right? So what's really interesting is you look at the kids coming out of college who are totally impacted by this change, right? unemployment rates are much higher for young people coming out of college. How do you deal with all of these changes that are coming? And so I try to help people who have these issues where they're fearful, they're uncertain. And to me, it's like change is always good. It's always
Yeah.
an opportunity. Innovation's always good. So
Right. Oh, that's incredible. Now, the systems that you've built, what does it look like when someone's like, "Oh my gosh, I want to reach out to Terry?" Like, in what ways do you help everybody?
yeah, so I have this framework that I built that I share with people. I've written about it, I speak about it, but it's called REBAR, and it's an acronym for my framework, which represents four key phases: reflect, build, act, and renew. And that has applicability in both your personal life and in your professional life, kind of depending upon where your issues are, right? So I can help in both those regards. I could talk through those real quickly
Yeah,
if
go
we have
ahead.
time. Okay.
We do.
So reflect is really about taking that time to step back and think about what's going on in my life, taking that time every day, making it a practice, starting with gratitude, because there's always a million things to be grateful for despite whatever's going on in your life. And then this concept of doing an audit of your day. Did I learn anything today? Was I inspired by anything today? If I was inspired by something, is there something I can apply to my life tomorrow or take a chance on? So that's kind of this practice of reflection. Build is about developing a positive mindset. It's about developing a growth mindset. This is when you identify who is your support system going to be? How are you going to find life balance? How are you going to practice faith if that's something that's important to you? Um, and how you're going to choose your attitude. So choose positive because attitude is a choice, right? Makes life much easier when you have a positive attitude. We move on to act. Act is when that's really where the rubber meets the road, Tiffany. So that's when we start to face challenges. It's when we take control. It's when we set goals. It's when we get focused. So I think of that as really execution mode, right? That's when you start to make progress in your life toward whatever changes are going on. And then finally, renew is this commitment to the process. It's when you step back and think about what you learned, right? So if you've reached this point, you survived. So be grateful for that, celebrate that, and think about the traits and characteristics that you embody that enabled you to get here, because that helps build confidence. Um, so it's this time renew is really about this growth mindset. It's about learning from the experience and applying it so that you can become a better version of yourself every day. And
Wow.
so the way I do it is I provide questions within each phase, right? So that people can answer them according to their own journeys so that they can take away something actionable for themselves at the end of each phase.
Hmm. This is so cool, but also this is a lot of work, and I know you're killing it, but why do you keep showing up to do what you do?
I love what I do because I feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives. I feel like people are responding and they're engaging and they're finding value in it. And what better purpose can I have uh, to help those that are struggling with whatever ordeal they're involved with?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Some people are thinking right now, wait, I want to know Terry. How can I follow Terry? What's your favorite way for people to come find you?
So you can find me on my website, terryhealey.com. I'm on Instagram at Terry Healey US. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. And yeah, so that's the best way to find me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I only have a couple more questions left. Um, First, what's next? Like, what's on the horizon?
I really want to expand on what I'm doing. I want to just keep charging forward and growing this opportunity to reach more people. So it's just about getting in front of new audiences and more audiences, and doing it in a way that I'm able to balance my work and professional life. But that's what it's all about right now.
I love that you're doing all this stuff. Um, I only have one more question left, and it's sometimes my favorite. What what should we wrap up with? Like your lasting golden nuggets or your words of wisdom that we'll leave everyone with today?
How about two things, if that's okay?
Of course, yeah.
One's super short. Um, if you struggle with attitude, practice gratitude. It changes everything, right? So that's one. Two is this, and it revolves around reflection, I think, which is um, be open, aware, alert, and attentive to the people that you interact with every day and to the events that are happening around you. Pay attention because people and events, these things that are happening will impact you. And none of us knows where we're going to get the inspiration that we need to help us to get through whatever crisis is. I could never have told you, Tiffany, the turning points that I would have, the people that impacted me. They were
Right.
not friends, they were not family. These were random acts of kindness. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I want people to just stay open to other people and to what's happening. Don't get laser focused on yourself. Keep your mind open.
Mm, that's great advice. This has been awesome. I'm so grateful for your time. I'm so grateful for your words and you to be able to come share. And everybody who's listening right now, I'm grateful for your time. And I want you guys to go follow Terry on all his social media and go check out his book. What's the title of your book again?
The resilience mindset. It's
Mindset.
on
And all
Amazon or anywhere. Yeah.
absolutely. And go to his website so you can check out all the amazing stuff he's doing, the framework he's invented. And you might just be a perfect fit for you to know Terry, which is why you're listening right now. So, anyway, thank you guys for coming. And I will see you all on the next episode. Go have a great day.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Bye.